Good morning, everyone. It's getting close to time to start the forum, so if you want to grab coffee or not, if not that, just grab your seat and we'll get started in about a minute here. Yeah.
So have you ever been by this building? Are you impressed? Doesn't it look like Bachman's there? Do you know Bachman's in the Twin Cities?
No,
It's a big,
super pretty.
but yeah, there's all the plants.
Yeah, Michael.
That's
You are top. Thank
looks like our usual crew, no matter what fog.
I've been here for so long, I don't even know who your usual crew is. It's good to see those people. Yeah, I just see the online names.
I'm just doing a technical thing.
I think we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Sally Munger and I am the chair of the Forums Committee. And I'm happy to see so many of you who made it through the fog to get here today. This is going to be an excellent forum, I know that. And we are going to have Barb Ackrey, a member of the congregation, who nominated NAMI for the woven basket for the month. We'll introduce our speaker today. So without further ado, I'll introduce or have Barb come up to introduce the speaker.
Over this and over that.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you.
I forget there are people online, even though I've been one of those people online for several months, many months. I'm honored to be able to introduce this young woman. I hope she doesn't mind me calling her a young woman, but everybody's young to me these days. I became acquainted with NAMI when I ended up teaching some of the NAMI classes for family, and I think I even taught one of them here. And I don't know that any of you were present at that, but they have wonderful classes. I did not become acquainted with them when my son developed bipolar disease many years earlier, but I really appreciate their work, and he's become acquainted with them down in the city since then as well. But I know nothing compared to this young woman who's going to speak with us today. Mary Garness was also going to speak with us. She is ill, as a lot of people are suddenly becoming. It's a little concerning, but I think she's okay. She's on the road to recovery, but she's not able to be here today. She, as some of you know, is a member of the congregation, and she's also on the NAMI Duluth board. And so she would have been a great representative. Chrissy is on the, well, she's going to explain. I'm going to call it NAMI Superior, even though that isn't the correct name, but they're in the process of changing their name. So she'll explain that. She works as a certified, well, that's not right. She works as the grant project coordinator for the Douglas County Care Team for Health and Human Services. And she's been 13 years at Essentia, working at Essentia as well. She has a degree in biology and psychology, and she's a certified peer support specialist, or she has been at Indigo, which I hadn't heard of. She may explain that, which serves all ages of people who live with disabilities in Superior. She's a member of NAMI on the local, state, and national level, and she's worked at all levels as well. I'm just going to run through this quickly because it's better to hear from her. She's currently, for NAMI Douglas County, president of the board of directors, co-facilitates the peer support group and peer-to-peer program, is a mental health chat instructor, is an In Our Own Voice presenter, is, I mentioned, a certified peer support specialist, a member of the Douglas County Mental Health Coordinated Community Response Coalition. That's at the local level. At the state level, she's on the NAMI Wisconsin Board of Directors, chair of the NAMI Wisconsin State Peer Leadership Council, a trainer for NAMI's In Our Own Voice program, appointed by Governor Evers, you all know who he is, to the Wisconsin Council on Mental Health, a member of the State of Wisconsin Department of Human Services Recovery Implementation Task Force Committee, a member of the Disability Rights Wisconsin Protection and Advocacy for Individuals with Mental Illness Council, and that's at the state level. Nationally, she's a mental health first aid trainer. Some of you I bet have taken that class. I have at UMD, as a matter of fact. And she has awards at several levels. She was in 2019 the Wisconsin Peer of the Year Award. 2022, she was Essentia Health's Volunteer of the Year for 261 hours of volunteering on top of all the rest of that. And also in 2022, she was Wisconsin Independent Living Center's Relentless Badger Award. Isn't that a great name for advocacy work for those living in mental health, with mental health challenges? And lastly, but not least, her recovery story, her own recovery story, was recently published in the NAMI book, You Are Not Alone, by Dr. Ken Duckworth, and she will be or already is part of a podcast associated with that. So let me turn it over to her. We're honored to have you, Chrissy.
Thank you. Let you sneak by. There we go. I'm going to share my screen for those over Zoom and so everyone can see it. Okay. So NAMI Douglas County is currently in the process of changing our name to NAMI Lake Superior South Shore. We're just waiting on the IRS before we can change our banking and all that other stuff over. Because we expanded to Ashland and Bayfield counties because they had no services in those two counties. So that's why we're changing our name to represent our geographical area because we're no longer just Douglas County. Okay. Click. So NAMI structure, NAMI is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization. It's a 3-tier organization. So you have your local affiliate, your state affiliate, and then you have the national office. And it was formed in 1977 in Wisconsin with a group of family members. And then they worked with some Minnesota family members as well to start the national organization. There's more than 600 affiliates in 49 states. And we started our steering committee back in September of 2014 for our affiliate. I lost my mouse, there it is. Can you guys see everything? I'm gonna slide these people over. Whoops. So NAMI Lake Superior South Shore, I'm gonna switch between Douglas County and NAMI Lake Superior South Shore because we're kind of between. So we're a nonprofit organization. We support people through, we provide support, education, advocacy, and public awareness throughout Ashland, Bayfield, and Douglas counties for all individuals living with mental health condition and family members. This is our current board of directors. We currently have quite a few people. We are still looking for a Douglas County seat now and one more Ashland Bayfield County seat. We hold 4 seats just for Ashland and Bayfield County. So our membership, I'm going to try to sneak this down just a smidgen, look a little bit smaller. So our membership, we have 66 Wisconsin members, 18 Minnesota members, and then we have some from Alaska, Florida, Montana, just some oddballs that moved away that were once a part of our affiliate. So, but we're growing in numbers, so. And people can be from anywhere to still participate. We have a girl from Denver who's originally from Duluth who still participates in our meetings every week. So we don't care where you're from. If you feel more comfortable in our group, you're more than welcome to participate in our group. Our 22 priorities were including to expand and increase services in Ashland and Bayfield counties and to officially become part of those counties. And then crisis intervention training for law enforcement. And we had our first training in 2022. And Superior, we did one just recently 3 weeks ago in Bayfield. And increase our teen support group and update our website. Our accomplishments, I'm not going to read them all, there's just way too many. but we did officially expand. And then we started a new adult support group in Ashland as well. So, and that's gone really well. Like within the first month, it expanded up to 7 people. So we're still making changes to our website. And then we did our first CIT training. We held our first peer mental health awareness night, and we had more than 136 attendees that first year. We trained 13 people from the Superior School District in Mental Health Chat, which is an elementary school program. It's targeted to 4th graders, but we do 3 through 5 as kind of the general range. And it's an awareness program about like depression. We talk about depression and anxiety. Like if you had a broken arm, you go to the doctor. And so if you're feeling down, you would want to go to the doctor, you know, kind of normalizing things. We did our own voice presentations where you hear your story. It's 404 people. And then myself and Brenda got trained in sharing your story with law enforcement, and Jasmine and Becca are now trained in family to family. So we're going to be offering that as well this coming September. More of our things, we do a lot of youth mental health and adult mental health first aid trainings for free, because otherwise the cost is $170. So we try to offer for free as much as possible and pay for the food and participants guides and the books and everything. These are some of our additional activities that we do, just fundraisers and tabling events and all kinds of things that we've done. And we do this Columbia suicide screening tool. We're trying to do that twice a year. They're just photos. We did a Talk It Up for Mental Health event. This was one of our mini golfing events that we do. Our peer support group does a quarterly social outing every quarter, because we found that people tend to isolate a lot when they're feeling depressed. So we pay for them to get together every month and do every quarter and do something fun outside of the group. And then this was our first Superior Mental Health Awareness Night. We just had our 2nd annual one this past Tuesday. And then this is us tabling at the awareness night at the races, suicide awareness night. And this is Brenda and I doing it in our own voice presentation at UWS. We usually do it there a couple times a year. And then we participated in the Halloween parade. So, and we have a NAMI squad car, you can kind of see by the window. And they have a green line and it has green ribbons and it says Stop Stigma on it. And then we have a Christmas party every year for our peer support group. This is just part of our members. And I think we had like 18 people there, but not everybody was in the picture at the time. So, and then my lived experiences in this book with Dr. Ken Duckworth. And last weekend, actually, he presented at the NAMI Wisconsin conference as the keynote speaker, and he asked me to be on his panel. So this is much easier compared to talking to 430 people. But our 2023 priorities we have some big priorities. Continue to expand in Bayfield and Ashland counties, finish our name change, which we're on the last step of the IRS, and then our bank account. Then expand our youth programs, update our website, which is pretty much done. We just got to have it redirect the old one to our new web address, and update our email address, but that'll automatically forward. So even if you contact our old email address, it'll automatically forward to the new one. We just held the CIT training, so now I can move that. And we're going to have the CIP training, which is Crisis Intervention Partners. So it's like EMTs, firefighters, social workers, RNs, people like that, dispatchers. And we're going to hold that in the late summer or early fall. And we're going to try to hold it in the middle of our area, so that way we can capture everyone. And then our biggest thing is purchasing a house to start a peer-run respite. And we've been writing policies and procedures for the last several months. And we obtained $200,000 from the city of Superior. However, it doesn't go to the purchase of the building. And in Wisconsin, there's 6 peer-run respites, but the state of Wisconsin will not fund startup costs. So, but once you're up and running, Wisconsin's funded every single one of them once they're up and running. So we are trying to fundraise to purchase the actual house that we want to get. So peer-run respites, there's none in Minnesota. So it's ran by peers for peers. And so I have a lot of information about peer-run respites because most people don't know what they are. And so it's a place where people who are experiencing a mental health crisis or dual diagnosis crisis, or even substance use in some cases, can go for support and stay usually up to 7 nights, but there are exceptions in some cases where they can stay a little longer and get that support they need. They work on RAP plans and they work on different assessments to help them in their recovery journey. There's like 4 different assessments that the state of Wisconsin lets you use. So, and it's free of charge because everything NAMI does is free of charge. So, and it's service where they have to be willingly go freely. It's not a mandatory service at all. So I'm gonna shrink this down a little bit more. I can't get it just right. So what happens is someone can call in advance and then say, do you have a bed available? And they kind of do a little mini assessment with the staff, making sure that they're a good fit and that, you know, that they'll likely have a good outcome from it, you know, and that they're not like actively like with intent having homicidal or suicidal thoughts. Because then they're more likely that they would need acute hospitalization. But if they could still have some like fleeting suicidal thoughts, that's okay. Because we know some people struggle with that every day their whole life. So, and then this gives them a chance to talk with someone, and then a staff member will meet with another staff member and just discuss whether or not they feel they're the right fit and call that person back, usually within like 20 minutes. And then they say, yes, we have a bed for you, or no, we do not. And then there's just different things they can do, social activities, education and wellness activities, and they can come and go. So they can go to work still, they can go to college still, they can go home and take care of their pets. So there's different things they can do still. It's eligible for anyone who's 18 or older. And again, it's a free service. Typically, people need a ride to the respite, but we're working on, or if they have a car, they can drive to the respite. We are working on getting the respite house we're looking at that has very limited parking. So we're working on getting an MOU with the YMCA in Superior to use their parking lot. So once you get to the respite, and if you don't have transportation, then the respite team, we will provide bus passes, or we'll have our volunteers give people rides to appointments and things like that. And we will help people like get to doctor's appointments, therapy appointments, if that's something they wish to do and want our support with. So each guest has their own private room, and we toured the other respites in Wisconsin, and they tend to have a theme for each room. So we're going to do something similar. We're looking for some creative ideas if anyone has any. We don't currently have a name. If we find the right donor, we may name our respite after that person. It has 4 bedrooms. We're right by the YMCA. We're like 2 houses down from the YMCA. And that house has been identified by the mayor as where they want us, because it's zoned properly. It's on a bus line and it's within walking distance of shopping. So there's multiple reasons, and the neighbors are used to that clientele because that was a Harbor House property. So they're used to dealing with the homeless, and the neighbors are super supportive. Like they'll call saying, hey, we noticed your water's running outside, or things like that. They're super supportive neighbors. They're just wonderful. So that's the reason why we're using that property. A typical stay is 1 to 7 days. And like I said, they can come and go as they wish, but if they're gone for more than 24 hours and don't make contact, then they're asked to leave. Let's see. Oh, they call and talk with staff, and then the stays are voluntary. There's no cost again. Providers, family members, and friends are welcome to call, but they do sign like a ROI saying, yes, you can talk to my family members. So we make sure it's okay with that person first. An ROI is a release of information. So, and then it's all based on the person's choice of what they want and don't want. We leave it pretty much up to them if they want their family members to know they're there or not. Otherwise, we say, well, we cannot confirm or deny, which is frustrating for family members, we know. So legally, that's all we could do. So there are no medical services or clinical services other than driving people to appointments. So there's none on staff. However, they have a lockbox for their medications and we support them with their appointments. So we there's a lockbox in each room for their medications. And then we get them to appointments, we get them to a therapy, we get them to a support group, things like that. And each room has a resource binder. So it has like the support group meetings for NA, AA, NAMI support groups, Overeaters Anonymous, both in person and in Zoom. And then we also have like other resources, like this is where you can go for job opportunities. This is where the food shelves are. And then there's other resources like these are the places that deliver food. And then this is a picture of all of our staff people and a bio about each person and why they wanted to work there. So that will be in each person's room and along with the bus routes and the bus information. So everybody knows where they can go. Pets are not allowed, but service animals are allowed. However, pets can visit if everyone in the household is okay with it. So there are some exceptions made. You know, pets are really important for people's emotional health as well. At least one staff member is awake 24/7. And usually on nights, there's one person, there's two people on the other shifts. And the other reason why there's a person awake all the time is because in Wisconsin, every peer-run respite has to have a warm line. And a warm line is a place where you can just call and vent. It's not really a crisis line, it's just a place to vent. And just get support, that emotional support, that or outlet really, if you need it. So we'll be having one of those as well, a dedicated warm line. Then each staff member is a certified peer support specialist licensed in the state of Wisconsin. And the passing the exam in Wisconsin only has a 62% pass rate because the test is so difficult. So we're having problems getting people passing the test in Douglas County. So we're working on that as we speak. We're going to do another training and try to get more people through. That's a big challenge, is passing that test. So we need to get like one more peer specialist through and passing the test before we can actually open the peer respite once we get the property. But they are all trained in crisis de-escalation, cultural awareness, emotional CPR, nonviolent communication, trauma-informed care, first aid and CPR and AEDs. That's not listed there, but I know it's one of the requirements that we're making a requirement. And then other things like just being verbal communication skills, basics, information like that. So a little bit about our programs. Our current teen support group is currently on hold, but we're bringing it back in the fall. All of our support, our teen facilitators all graduated from UWS. So then we lost our facilitators. We tend to use college students because they can relate better to the youth. So that's why it's on hold right now, because our last one graduated in December. Mental health chat is that elementary school program that I was talking about, and it's about 40 to 45 minutes. And then it has a follow-up curriculum for the teachers. And we have a list of leaders, so I shrunk that in there. Ending the Silence is a middle high school program. And it talks about mental health conditions and what you would do if you or a loved one showing signs and symptoms. And they sometimes do this in youth groups too, and like other clubs and organizations. So we always put the little website on there, the ets.nami.org, because anyone can go up there and access that information at any time. And then click the link saying, I would like this information. And then they send you the links with the videos, and you can choose any video that fits your scenario or your organization. We have a family support group, and I have flyers with this information if anybody needs anything to, like the family support group flyer or the support groups in general. Our family support group meets at Thirsty Pagan in the meeting room, off to the side before you even get further into the restaurant. We have family to family taking place this September. And then we have our adult superior support group meeting the first and third Thursday, second and fourth Wednesday. And we rotate because of church, because we don't want it on every Wednesday. And that was a decision I made when I set it up, because I didn't want to interfere with people in their faith beliefs. So we have quite a few leaders for that. And then we have our Ashland support group as well. And then we have in our own voice presentations, which I've been doing for a very long time. So that's just sharing your story, and it has a video component. It's super powerful. Everyone talks about it. I do them at the St. Scholastica every year too now, in addition to UWS. So a lot with nursing students, social work students, psychology students, sometimes criminal justice students as well. Peer-to-peer is an 8-week education program. We talk about medications, we talk about different kinds of therapies, how to work with your providers, things like that. And sharing your story with law enforcement is just that. Program leaders needed. We need more family support group leaders. NAMI Basics is for people with youth, mostly because we need facilitators, but you also need to provide childcare at the same time. So we would need like 4 or 5 people in order to offer that program. And Homefront is for veterans and their loved ones. And then NAMI Smarts for advocacy is just that. It's an advocacy program where you train people how to tell their story in like 2 minutes to legislators, and how to ask for what you really hope they would pursue in their political work. And then Ashland and our team support groups. This is our current contact information. If you email that email, it will forward to our new one once our new one is up. Our Facebook does have our new logo on it, but this address is still correct. And this email, this web address does, if you plug it in like this, still takes us to the correct website. So it just gives you, it says not secure right at this time, and because it's under construction, but it is the correct information. Oops. So it's minutes to 10. Does anyone have any questions? I talked kind of fast.
I had no idea there were that many programs associated with NAMI. That is amazing. So the peer-run
Respite.
is a NAMI program that you are adapting to your area, to a specific house. Is that correct?
Well, it's actually a nationwide program, but we'd only be the second NAMI to have one in the whole country.
Wow.
So that's why we're pursuing it. And because of it, it's not a service that exists. Even in Wisconsin, there's none north of the Eau Claire line. So we know there's a lack of services north of Eau Claire, and we would like to provide that services for the community members in the northern area of the state.
So you talked about staff and staff training and the passing the tests that was tough to pass. Are they paid staff then?
Yes, they would be.
Yeah. And that's paid by NAMI.
Would be paid by our affiliate out of the grants that we receive.
That is amazing. Certainly deserving of our support.
Yeah, and then once we're up and running, the state pays you to keep the peer run respites running. So then they would be paid out of the state grants to keep it going.
How much are you trying to raise for it?
The house, they want 170,000 and we only have like 30,000. So we're still working on it.
Other questions?
I have a mental health diagnosis and I've lived in a halfway house and I've also, I'm independent now, but I've always felt that there needs to be like a 3/4 way house between the halfway house and the community. And so this kind of does something of that. It's like the first step towards that type of thing.
Yeah, and they can use it as a step down too from hospitals and such. So, which is what some of the communities have been doing around the country. So I agree with you and thank you for sharing. I know I live with bipolar. I've been in recovery for many years. I haven't been hospitalized in like 10 or 11 years now, but it's nice to have that option available for people. Thank you.
Other questions?
I see Laverne has a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was a couple minutes late, but what are the contacts in the Duluth area?
Well, we offer our support groups to people from anywhere in the community or actually anywhere in the country, because we have a girl from Denver who attends our support groups, our family support groups. We haven't finished writing our policies on the peer respite yet. We're not sure right now. Once it's open, we'd be able to take people from anywhere, but once we get state funded, they require it to be
No,
funded.
I mean just the general NAMI number in Duluth.
Oh, for like NAMI National and NAMI Minnesota. I don't have that information, but I know NAMI National has a 1-800 number. I probably do have it. Now that I think about it. It's probably in my bag here. Let me see. It's somewhere over here.
How about you get the information to us afterwards and we can make sure that it goes out to everyone?
Yeah, because NAMI National has a 1-800 number that you can call for resources from anywhere in the country. And they have like a resource guide that's like 300 and something pages long. Yeah.
I have 2 questions. One, you use the acronym CIT.
Yes.
I'm not sure what that meant.
Crisis intervention training, which is for law enforcement, and it's a 40-hour training that we provide free of charge. And we bring speakers in from all over the place. One speaker is $1,200 for every 2 hours he talks, but he's a mandated speaker, so we don't get an option not to have him.
My second question kind of follows up on that. So from what I gather, there's a push afoot to have mental health professionals or social workers go sometimes on calls in lieu of police, where that might be more appropriate. What's your sense of how that is playing out in the Twin Ports area?
I like the idea. I know sometimes social workers sometimes don't decrease the hospitalization rate, but it's nice because it causes less negative interactions with law enforcement. But I know like Jen Stank with the Superior Police Department is actually not a licensed social worker. So we haven't seen the uptake in commitments as a result, but we still have the positive support and interactions there. So it's been a nice situation for everybody in our community. But I would like to see peer specialists involved as well in those interactions, providing that peer support and follow up, because a lot of times they don't have a chance to follow up with people. So I would like to see that step taken as well. But thank you for your question. That's a good question.
Other questions? Okay. Well, if there's no one with a question, did you check? Oh, Mr. Munger? I
guess I can ask them if nobody else has one. All of us, I guess you could say, have some form of mental illness or be touched by that. And how does one determine they should seek help? What kinds of referral are there to your services?
Well, we don't require any referral, and I agree, at some point in most people's lives, they do struggle, even if it's just for a week. But if it starts interfering with people's lives, I feel that's when they should start to consider professional help. Like if it's interfering with your work life or your family life, you know. And we don't require referrals. We don't even actually require a diagnosis for our support groups or anything. We just ask that if somebody feels like they're struggling, they're more than welcome to come. And we just open it up to anyone. So we don't require referrals. We just say, come on in, walk through the doors. Or sometimes I just tell people to call me or email me and I'll send them the information or meet with them one-on-one in advance. So they don't feel like they're like so alone when they come, you know, or feel like they're outnumbered or feel so awkward. So a lot of times I will meet with people one-on-one for a cup of coffee before they come to our meetings. Thank you.
Anyone else with a question? Where do you get all your energy to do all of this work? That is an amazing amount of work, and you are orchestrating much of it. How do you do that?
I'm not sure. I'm a naturally high-strung person to start with, so that helps. But I'm not really sure. I think it's just I'm naturally high energy. And I was actually talking with someone and I'm like, oh, in high school, I did cheerleading, I did forensics and drama and all these things. And they're like, so you've always been a busybody your whole life. And I'm like, I guess so. So I've always been this way.
And did you receive your inspiration from when you were experiencing symptoms of bipolar? Did you work with NAMI at that time and become acquainted with the organization, or did you become acquainted with it later?
Well, I didn't at first. I struggled for like, I don't know, like 15 years. I had 33 hospitalizations. And at one point I was committed to the Wisconsin State Hospital and I lost my job. I lost my house. I lost my pets. I lost everything. And I moved back here to the Twin Ports and I started my life over. And I found DBT in the Duluth support group, NAMI support group. And then I was like, okay, this is helpful. And between DBT, the support group, and finding a psychiatrist that was willing to work with me as a partner changed everything. And then I started it started motivating me to take my life back and advocating and recognizing my own signs and symptoms. And then the Duluth group that I was going to kind of dwindled and ended. And then they only had the one group going, but it was so large, I felt uncomfortable. So then they started forming NAMI Douglas County, and I said, I want to be a part of that. And then that's when I heard recovery was possible. And then I was like, from NAMI, Wisconsin. And then I was like, I want to be involved even more. So that's how I got more involved. And then it was a few years later that my psychologist, my therapist said, well, I removed your borderline disorder diagnosis a long time ago. You don't meet the criteria. And I talked to my psychiatrist and he said, oh, I removed it too. And he's like, you're the only second person in my entire career I've ever removed it from. And now he's retired and he told me the same thing right before he retired. So.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much and good luck with all your work. And thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Here and just to follow up, on the 21st of May, we are going to have a program here called How Should the Beloved Community Respond to a Mental Health Crisis Among Our Members here at UUCD. So I encourage you to come. Members are going to be sharing their experiences. And there will be no forum next week because I don't believe in having them on Mother's Day. So this will be May 21st that you should come back. So let's give Chrissy one more thank you.